Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Convention with the Willie Comfort Roundup. We've got a decently sized haul, not as big as last week, but a decently sized haul this week. So let's get started. Kicking things off, we've got Rogue and Gambit number 4. Where we left off, Rogue had gone on her own to rescue Manifold, and discovered and learned that there were others that had been chipped by a mysterious and heretofore unknown villain. Among those was Vanisher, and Rogue removed the control chip from Vanisher and killed him. The issue begins though with a flashback. 3 months ago, Juggernaut and Absorbing Man duking it out with each other while various investors watch, and we learn that the villain in question is Power Broker, the new Power Broker. Ambassador Rousseau has apparently dealt with this Power Broker previously, and does point out Power Broker 2's failures. But then it turns out that the chips, the control chips, can even cause him to stop fighting, allowing causing Absorbing Man to simply stand still while Juggernaut pummels him. So we have a text chain between Gambit and Storm. Storm telling Gambit, hey, go to Rogue, talk to her, be open with her, basically giving him solid advice, solid couples advice. In the present, Rogue meets the Power Broker, and Power Broker has Manifold teleport a control chip into Rogue. However, before it fully takes, Gambit busts in and starts causing problems, and does what he can to remove the chip from Rogue. However, it's not fully removed. Part of it managed to get it, including the control, part of the control portion, so that while she's able to talk, Power Broker can still control her powers. Rogue and Gambit end up fighting and venting their frustrations. But Power Broker has basically Rogue absorb the powers, at least of Electro. Power Broker attempts to leave, but Gambit stops him. However, Rogue busts out of the Power Broker's current headquarters. We also have a X-Men database entry on the Power Broker. Apparently, most notably, he found a mobile app called Hench, used to allow anyone to quickly and efficiently hire a supervillain from their mobile phones. Lost money and funding as a competitor app appeared on the market. Power abilities. Apparently, according to himself, Power Broker has given himself immense abilities, though he's only displayed small bursts of energy manipulation. That is where the issue ends. The series is definitely getting interesting, and I feel like this is something that should be definitely seen as at least to a degree, at least a tie-in to or a lead-in to Fall of X with Ambassador Rousseau's involvement. Moving on though to our next book, we've got Wolverine number 34, continuing the Weapons of X story. Where we left off, Wolverine and Maverick, as well as the CIA, were separately hunting down Beast. Jeff Bannister noticed Wolverine leaving the scene of a recent attack of Beast with Maverick, and not being sure that it was actually Wolverine, Bannister ordered an airstrike. Maverick and Wolverine do what they can to prevent them from being blown up, and Logan, not knowing Bannister's in charge of the attack, basically gets in touch with the with the Blackhawk in charge of that's controlling the attack, which Bannister is aboard. Bannister calls off the attack, and however, Beast attacks, causing Bannister to fall into the ocean. The U.S. planes attack Beast, though Point fights back. Wolverine tries to save Bannister, but unfortunately is unable to. Later, Wolverine and Maverick are having dinner when one of Beast's Wolverine clones shows up with what appears to be a bomb. Maverick takes him down, but it's not a bomb, it's a message. Beast has Bannister and wants to propose a trade. Logan goes to talk to Beast, who is eating a lobster, and Logan points out, this ain't you, Hank. But Hank kind of says, that's something that gets said about people all the time. Someone basically when, let's see. Beast proposes that Logan leave Beast alone. Beast leaves Logan alone. But Beast, when Logan says, this ain't you, basically, this ain't you, Hank explains, someone leaves a party after acting like a fool, making a lewd comment, or knocking over a vase, or taking a swing at the host. And friends will say, he's not like that. Beast says, oh, isn't he? Maybe he is. Maybe the pressures of so-called civilized norms is the only thing keeping him in check. And once that restraint is released, the true spirit of a man or mutant reveals itself. Sometimes that spirit is unfaltering. Sometimes it's raw. But sometimes it's brave and true, even if unpopular. Beast finishes up by saying, maybe this is who he's always been. But Beast points out that he knows that Wolverine's in possession of two of his clones of Wolverine. The trade being that Wolverine delivers the two clones, and in exchange, Wolverine gets Bannister. Maverick has been keeping the clones under observation. Their healing factors have kicked in, and their brains they're able to speak. But now Maverick and Wolverine know something that Beast doesn't. He's surrounded by an army that might turn on him at any moment. And that is where the issue ends. Weapons of X storyline is definitely an interesting one. I feel like this is the culmination of what we've been seeing from Beast and X-Force since the beginning of the Krakoan Age. And to be fair, it can be argued since even before that. But Percy's crafting a solid story. I look forward to seeing how it ends. Moving on, though, to our next book, we've got X-Men Red number 12. Where we left off, John Ironfire arrived on Arakko via the external gate, claiming that the White Sword has fallen. So we begin with a flashback at the Ivory Spire in Amenth, Castle of the White Sword and his 100 warriors. Either Genesis is coming, and while Genesis no longer wears the Annihilation mask, and she instead carries the Annihilation staff, which is even more corrupting. But it's heavily implied, maybe not heavily, but it's at least implied that John Ironfire and the White Sword are in fact are close, potentially speaking, even lovers. The White Sword releases Ironfire from his obligation and sends Ironfire up to Arakko to tell them that, yeah, Genesis is coming. We see part of the assault led by the Horsemen as well as Genesis, each of them using their various talents, including Pestilence, using plague arrows to spread a contagion. Genesis arrives, however, and the White Sword kneels before her. And his 100 warriors, well, the 99 of them are still left, follow suit. Ironfire is not exactly pleased with the fact that this is only needs to be that Storm and the others feel it needs to be debated on the council, but it's his own. But he admits that perhaps he's mistaken. But on Arakko, a gate grows. Genesis steps through it and is contacted by Mariana Stern of Kavanakaba, who is working for Orcus and with the intention of starting a mutant civil war on Arakko. So there are two ways she sees this going down. Genesis finds herself impressed by Aurora's expert leadership, understands why the living island of Arakko was yanked through space from an Earth that could easily have conquered and then put on a coma by a mad Eternal. And she's totally fine with fully half of the Iraqi population being scattered to the winds of space as mercenaries when they could be united under her command. If it comes to pass, well, they've at least succeeded in distracting Arakko and Storm with internal politics. Their scenario, of course, is the one that they want. If Genesis isn't impressed, it's a mutant civil war right on Orcus' doorstep. And they can do all sorts of things with that. The issue ends with the simple statement that Genesis was not impressed. As usual, X-Men Red continues to be one of the best X-Men books that's being published. And, definitely setting up some interesting stuff, that's for sure. Moving on, though, we've got Baby Wolverine Deadly Regenesis number 4. Where we left off, Laura had resigned herself to being back under, at least at least temporarily, under Chimera's control. As Chimera was running an MGH operation and had no compunction against killing some of the people under her, just to punish Laura. So she's sent on a mission in Minneapolis. While on this mission, Laura thinks back to her time in New York, operating alongside Kaiden. But Laura is to break into a man's apartment and kill him. She has a drone watching her. So this leads to she actually engages in a fight with the target, causing him to throwing him into the drone and breaking it. She then cuts herself, covers the target in blood, takes a picture of it, tells him to play dead, and takes a picture. She says Chimera. As she leaves, she instructs the target to not basically not to leave the apartment for at least 2 weeks. Hopefully it won't take that long to dismantle Chimera's operation. However, he has a job, he has kids, but she explains that, if he does leave his home, if it's shown that he's still alive, someone else will be sent who won't be as someone was sent for both him and his family, and they will not have mercy. Basically, she reasserts play dead. Chimera is a little mad at loss of the drone, but, well, it is what it is. Laura asks questions. Also wants to speak with Haymaker, who at least acknowledges that while yes, he does still have a bone to pick with Laura over the death of it, because she actually killed his brother, he understands that she was hired to, and so at the very least he's also angry at Kingpin, who ordered the hit. But she asks why he's working with Chimera. Chimera recognizes his potential. Laura's on another mission. This time, the docks here at the Twin Cities. She doesn't kill the people she runs into along the way, and takes a test tube from a scientist working out of a shipping container. Again, Chimera is not happy with the fact that Laura didn't leave a trail of bodies. When she returns, Laura simply states, killing them wasn't necessary for the mission, so I didn't. And which leads to Chimera killing yet another, this time one of the guards under her control, though Haymaker sees this. And turns out that Chimera's benefactor has arrived, and, well, he wants to see both Laura and Haymaker. The benefactor is revealed to be none other than Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin of Crime. And that is where the issue ends. This miniseries is shaping up pretty well. I do enjoy, I've mentioned previously, I enjoy these little these minis that take place in between stories, basically. In between story arcs, in between previous story arcs. Moving on, though, to our last book for the moment, we have Magic the Gathering Planeswalker Noble. This is the first of a series of one-shots that Boom is producing for Magic. Here's our actual cover. So we got two stories. The first one centers on Karn and Ral Zarek, is called Till Death. Karn, Ral Zarek, as well as one of the members of the Izzet League, Skrieg, are in Ravnica's Undercity. Ral explains that there's a story that Tomek, his fiancée, told him that he loves his childhood. An Izzet technomancer and a Orzhov guild law mage, they eventually fell in love, but they knew they couldn't be together. They took metal from a star, made wedding rings, were secretly married. Eventually, the guilds came for them, and Ral's plan is to take the rings and deliver them as a wedding present to Tomek. This is apparently shortly before Tomek and Ral's wedding. They get the rings. They manage to defeat the security. Ral gives Tomek one of the rings, and Tomek is promptly possessed by apparently the spirit of the Technomancer. Karn interfaces to a degree with the other ring, explains that the rings have the souls of the two inside. Back in the Undercity, Ral sees the Technomancer, but Ral puts on the other ring, and Karn is able to speak with the spirits of the Technomancer and the Law Mage, and they're able to they basically say, it's like, okay, yeah, we're long dead, and us continuing to be like this is keeping two others apart. And the story ends with Ral and Tomek's marriage or wedding. Kaya is there. I remember there was actually a card showing that, or in the Pride Secret Lair, I think last year, that where the artwork showed Ral and Tomek's wedding, and we saw some of the guests, including, but yes, Kaya, as well as Teysa. Our next story, Quest of the Heart, and this story focuses on Jace and Vraska. So, Jace has a bad dream, remembering when he stopped Merit Lage on Amonkhet. But he basically wants to, and reminding himself of being alone, and he wants to spend the day with Vraska. They find a dockside merchant. Certainly not an extortionist. That's at the dockside. But they find what appears to be a psychic beacon. Jace accesses the message. The couple then go into the mainland, where they find the remains of a village. But first they have to wade through creatures that they aren't generally recognizable as being creatures native to Ixalan. They find an old woman in one of the buildings. She had been gone for a while, and she explains the story of Warren Azam, who broke oaths to try and save the woman he loved, and corrupted the entire town. They find Warren. Warren undoes his spell and dies. But the townsfolk are restored to normal, and Jason and Vraska talk about talk about their feelings for one another, and apparently, with Vraska stating that her wisdom came from the moment she opened her heart for Jace, and that is where the issue ends. And apparently, we will soon have it. I think it'll be in August. Yeah, August will be Planeswalkers Notorious. Should be interesting. The cover art seems to imply appearances by Liliana Vess, Oko, and Soren Markov. So, and also it's going to, like this one, it'll be Planeswalker team ups. Anyway, that is going to do it for now. Big shout out to Patreon patron Xander Lee. Thank you so much for your support. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.